Well, here I am again. Today I'm going to tell you what periodontal disease does to people. Not only do they give you cancer and heart attacks and all the other stuff, what it does, it makes people go crazy. When you see people on the street talking to themselves, homeless, that's what's happening is the bacteria has gone, the food got under the gums, the bacteria started eating it, and the bacteria went down into the body, and it went up into the brain, and it making people crazy. And see, that's something else. People, they get periodontals over the years, and the reason why they become homeless is because after a while they can't work and they can't do like everybody else does. See, the rest of the people don't have periodontals such a bad case, and so therefore they can work and do pretty good. And it, periodontal disease affects different people in different ways and different times. So you never know what's going to happen to you or me or them. One could have cancer, the other could have sugar diabetes, the other could have a heart attack. You just never know what's going to happen. That periodontal is in your body, and wherever it lands and whatever it starts eating, that's what happens to you. So I'm going to tell you about my son. See, I found out about clindamycin because I had been working on it for like 20 years or more, and so finally I'd found out about clindamycin. I took all kinds of antibiotics, and I tried to brush it away, and my gums were bleeding, and my teeth were coming out, and I was getting sicker and sicker as the years went by. And so what happened is that I'd found out about clindamycin. I had taken all the other antibiotics like Cipro, penicillin, amoxicillin, and all the rest of them, the ones that I could buy off of eBay at that time. And so nothing worked. So finally I came across, I read an article on YouTube, and I found out that there's 3 antibiotics that works with periodontal disease, and the periodontal disease, they're the ones that they use these three antibiotics to cure periodontal. If they do, which I don't know if I don't think they do, but anyway, I'd taken all their stuff, and I tried to brush away, and nothing worked. And so finally what I did is I started taking clindamycin. So I took clindamycin, and right away I was able to get out of bed, which I couldn't do it before. I could hardly get out of bed. I could hardly put my clothes on, hardly put my pants on. I could hardly walk. I was feeling like I was going to die at any second. And so after 5 days taking clindamycin, I was up out of bed. I was in the backyard. I was doing my experimenting on pesticides and plants and tomatoes, watermelons, and all the other stuff. But I was back doing it because of clindamycin, and all of a sudden I was getting well. And so by the time that my son Zachary Niederheiser came to the house that day, I had found out about clindamycin already. So what happened is one day he knocked on the door, and I went to the door, and there he was. And I hadn't seen him for a long time either. See, his mother and I, we really didn't get along too good over the years, and so we separated when they were like 3 or 4 years old, 5 years old. So she was so crazy, and she had periodontal disease too. I met her about the time that my gums were bleeding really bad, and I had braces on at the time, and the dentist, I was in the orthodontist's office, and one day he said, "Hey Larry," he said, "you got a pocket right here," and I had all my teeth, I had braces on and all that stuff, and he said, "You got a pocket," and I said, "What do you mean a pocket?" And he said, "Man," he said, "you better go to the dentist and get that fixed." So I went to the dentist, and right away the dentist told me, the first dentist, he told me I have to have all my teeth pulled out. I went to the next dentist, and she or whoever said you have to have all your teeth pulled out, and I just kept going to on and on and on to different dentists, second opinion, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, because I really didn't want to get my teeth pulled out because I just paid a lot of money to get my teeth straightened, and all of a sudden they tell me that I have to have them all pulled out. So one day I went to this appointment to see the dentist to check it out, my situation, and so I said, show me what you're talking about. So what he did is he brought his camera down, his light down, and gave me a mirror to hold. And then what he did is he took his little tool and he went under my gums on the bottom of my teeth. And I was looking, and I had the mirror and all that, and all of a sudden when he put it under my gums, just a whole bunch of little balls, perfect balls of pus, little kind of yellowish pus started popping out. Anyway, so when I left there, I was driving down the road, and I said, "Hey, man, they're going to pull my teeth out, and if I'm going to be able to keep my teeth at all, I'm going to have to do it myself. I'm going to have to figure this out myself, because nobody's going to help me out here." So I went and I started getting on the internet and got on YouTube, and I started buying all that stuff. I started rinsing my mouth with water, salt water, and peroxide, and tea tree oil, and you name it. And it didn't work, and my teeth kept coming out, and I started getting sicker and sicker. And but one day, my friend, her name was Diana. See, that's something else. She was getting a lot of bladder infections, and see, at that time I didn't know why she was getting a bladder infection, but she just kept, like, every month or so, or 2 or 3, she would get a bladder infection and go to the doctor, and they'd go down and they'd supposedly give her a check and find out what kind of bacteria was going, and she did that, and they prescribed her Cipro. So but this time Cipro made her have diarrhea and stomach upset and all that, and so she called the doctor and said, "Hey, man, this stuff is making me sick." And so they said, "Well, come on in and we'll give you another prescription of something else." So she did. She came home and started taking that other medicine, but I told her, "Hey, since you're not going to take that Cipro, why don't you let me have the Cipro? I'll take it and see if it'll help me on my periodontal disease." So she said, "Okay." So I took the Cipro, and in the meantime, and it didn't do any good. In the meantime, I had looked around and I saw eBay. They sold all kinds of different antibiotics and everything. So I got on eBay and I started out with, I forget exactly which one I started out, but I started out with penicillin, and then I took that, and then I took some amoxicillin, and I just kept going down the line to see what was going to work, or if anything would work. But anyway, I took them. Nothing seemed to work, and so I did that for a couple of years, and taking all that antibiotics. So, but in the meantime, I was on the internet, and somewhere along the line, I found an article that said that periodontalists, the people that's supposed to cure and treat periodontal disease, they use three different antibiotics, and one of them was clindamycin. So. And there was another, dioxazine, and I know there's another one. It's in my article, but I can't really pronounce them. I'm not that good at that stuff. But anyway, I ordered clindamycin, and I didn't want to take the clindamycin right away because I wanted to know if these other antibiotics would work or do any good. And so they didn't. So, but like I said, and this is about 20 years in, and I took I started taking the clindamycin. And like I said, I couldn't hardly walk, couldn't hardly get my clothes on, I couldn't hardly do anything. And like I said, I thought I was going to die at any second. So I started taking the clindamycin, and then 5 days later, I was up out of bed, and I was in the backyard continuing on with my experimenting with how to grow vegetables without pesticides. So I already knew about clindamycin, and so what happened is, see, that's sometimes... Shelley, she left me, and I left her about the time that my gums were really, I had all my teeth, and it's about the time I had my my braces put on, and so naturally I was kissing her and hugging her and all that stuff, and so you pass all that bacteria from one person to another just by kissing, and it's like venereal disease, like AIDS. I guess you can kiss somebody and you can pass it on, or you can have sex and pass it on. And so that's what was happening later on. I found out that's what was happening with all of her yeast infections. Not yeast infections, that too probably, but bladder infections. And so what we did after a while, I told her, and I was studying this stuff, and I said, well, we're going to stop. And that's something else. Naturally, we was having oral sex and all the other stuff. And so I told her, we're not going to do that anymore, because it's possibility that I'm giving it to you, because the doctors, they didn't say a word about it, just yeast infection, bladder infection, just over and over and over for years, and they didn't say a word. So I told her, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to see if your infections, bladder infection, yeast infection, would go away and not come back. So what we did, we stopped doing it, and sure enough, no more bladder infections, no more yeast infections. So what was happening is all that bacteria in my mouth was transferring into her and making her sick. But the doctors and dentists, the doctors didn't say a word about it. It's more money every couple months, man. Yeast infection and all the other money they are making. And if you have 1,000 or 500, 200 people doing that every couple months, so you're in the chips and you're driving your Mercedes Benz and you got her paid for, and you got your big old house paid for, and man, you're just having a ball in this life, and everybody else is having yeast infections, bladder infection, teeth coming out, bleeding gums, cancer, and all the other stuff. And they're really proud people, man. They're driving that big old Cadillac, or big old Mercedes Benz or Rolls Royce, and boy, they're sitting in there just really in there. They're tight, boy. But anyway, so what happened is that Zacho, and like I said, I stopped talking to Shelly. Her name was Shelly, and but I had a visitation with the kids, and so we used to take them every other weekend, and we used to take them to Disneyland and take them all over the place. And but when they were about 17, 18 years old, Zachary went back with his mother, and he didn't come back and see me anymore. And so I kind of lost track of him for like 10 years. But one day, jumping, and he was hollering and screaming and talking to himself, and he was just doing all kinds of funny stuff, man. I mean, he was really crazy. And matter of fact, he was so crazy that after a week or so, even the neighbors were really afraid of him, man. They were all just all in a panic because of Zacho was there. And he'd go outside and he would stay outside and he'd sleep on the lawn. As a matter of fact, I got pictures, and I got pictures of his teeth, and I'm going to put them on this I'm going to put those on this video. But so as soon as he was at the door there and jumping and doing all of his thing there, I told him, Zacho, let me take a look at your teeth. So he went like this, and I went and got my iPad and I took pictures of him. His teeth. Took several shots of him, and his gums were red as red. And along the top of the line on his teeth, on the top and some on the bottom, had all kinds of cavities right at the gum line. And later on, I found out he had over 25 cavities. And so, along the way there, I said, Zacho, how come you didn't brush your teeth? And when you're homeless, and that's what must have happened. He was homeless, or he just stopped brushing his teeth. And so he thought that the only time that you should have to brush your teeth is when you took a bath. And apparently he wasn't taking very many baths at that time, so he wasn't brushing his teeth, and therefore he got his teeth got all cavitied up, and gums got swollen, and the bacteria went into his body, went up to his brain, and making him crazy. And I mean, he was crazier than anybody I've ever seen in my life. And so for the first couple of weeks he was with me there at the house, I didn't know exactly what to do. I couldn't talk to him, couldn't make any kind of conversation with him at all, because he was talking to himself and everybody else, and he was just doing everything. So somewhere along the line, somebody got a hold of me and said that he had a doctor at Kaiser Permanente in Fontana. So I went over there, took him over there, and took him to the doctor. And sure enough, he had a doctor. Sure enough, they had 3 prescriptions for him. So I filled the prescriptions, took him home, started giving him prescriptions. And I have the names of the prescriptions somewhere around, and the computer. But it didn't do any good. He just was acting crazy and talking to himself and jumping up and down and just all kinds of. That's something else he was doing. He played with matches. He was playing with candles. And Diana, the lady I was with, and she was scared to death of him at that time. She loved Zacco, but when he was doing all these crazy things at the last there, well, naturally she was afraid he was going to burn the house down and all kinds of stuff. And the neighbors were afraid of him because he was just hollering and screaming and jumping around and doing all of his things. So I knew he had periodontitis because his gums were bleeding and his gums were red as fire. And so what I did, I ordered some clindamycin and started giving him the clindamycin. And well, actually, he took the clindamycin, but so what happened is that about a week went by, and he stopped talking to himself as much. And another week went by, and he was talking and stopped talking and stopped taking and jumping around and stopped doing the stuff he was doing a lot. But after about 3 weeks, then when we were riding around, well, he was talking to me as usual, and all of a sudden, but he was sitting there, and all of a sudden he would start laughing to himself and stuff for maybe a couple, 3, 4, 5 seconds. But after 24 days of the clindamycin, he stopped talking to himself entirely, and Zacco was out. He was back. And so when you see people walking up and down the street, homeless, talking to themselves, well, you'll know what it is. It's gum disease. That bacteria goes from your gums, and it sits in there for years and years and years. The dentist, they give people they clean their teeth, but they don't go down where the problem is at. As a matter of fact, there's another guy that I was talking to in Yucaipa, and I was telling him just like I'm trying to tell you now. And he said, "Yeah, Larry," he says, I knew something was wrong, because he said I was in the service for 37 years, and he said the government paid for 1 teeth cleaning, and he says, he said I wanted to keep my teeth, and he said I wanted to be healthy and all that. And so he says I had my teeth cleaned 4 times a year. I paid for 3. The government paid the other one, and I've done this steadily for 37 years, and even before that. But he said he brushed his teeth at least once a day, and flossed his teeth, and he said, "Yeah, Larry," so I brushed my teeth and went to the dentist, and I still have lost 13 teeth. And he says, I've just had a heart attack about 6 months ago, and he said I've got a really bad case of arthritis. And so all those years that he was having his teeth clean, and naturally his teeth were coming out, and cavities and root canals and caps and all the other stuff, that's what the dentists were doing for him. But so I mean, even when you go to the dentist, they don't tell you, and so therefore you just go right down the river down into the devilish death. And so that's what happens to people. They get a periodontitis, it goes for years, and they can't work. They can't keep up like everybody else. And so therefore they get fired here, and then they try to get another job, and maybe they get a job, and then maybe they don't. Maybe the rest of their life they're on the street. And once they get on the street, there's no possible way for them ever to come back, because there's no place for them to brush their teeth. And even if they did, it wouldn't make any difference, because once you get periodontitis, just brushing your teeth or using a peroxide, because the reason why it is the bacteria has gone inside of your body. So you can use peroxide and all these stuff that they'll kill bacteria, but they can't get to the bacteria to kill it. And that's what the clindamycin does. So you take the clindamycin, and it goes inside your body, and it kills all the bacteria. You get a deep root cleaning, you get all the bacteria out under your gums, where it all started, and You pull any nasty teeth out where the clindamycin can't get in, and you take the clindamycin and it kills all the bacteria, and you're good to go again. So if you don't cure your periodontal, that's another thing. The reason why people are doing all these crazy things out there, shooting people up and killing people and you name it. Just like that place in Las Vegas. That's one example. This guy was a millionaire and had everything he ever wanted. Lots of money. He could have done anything, everything he ever wanted. Nothing was beyond him. He could just about have anything he wanted. And there he was, buying guns and up there like 20, 30 stories up and breaking windows out and shooting people. Now, that's what it is. Periodontal disease have got into people's brains and they make them doing crazy things. No compassion, just shooting people for no reason, being mean to people, just you name it. People are doing stuff because of periodontal disease. It's not their fault. I've had a few people do me wrong, and you can't say it was them because it wasn't. It's the periodontal disease. The dentist didn't take care of the periodontal disease, and the bacteria in their brain short-circuiting their circuits, and it's not their fault. It's the dentist's fault. Just like that shooting in Las Vegas, it wasn't that guy's fault. It's the dentist, the doctors. They're not taking care of. They're not taking care of periodontal disease. All they got to do is stop periodontal disease, and nobody to be sick anymore. And like I said before on my other video, I have this under the gum cleaner. You take the clindamycin. You use my under the gum cleaner. Pull any bad teeth out. Keep the ones you have, and you'll never get periodontals again. And just like all these little babies, millions and millions of little babies across the country, across the world, if you use that under the gum cleaner from the day they're born, well, not till the day they're born, maybe after a while, but and then all the way through their life, they never get sick. None of the periodontal disease-related disease that's causing everybody problems today. I don't know what the hell you're going to die of then, but I'm for sure there's something out there that's going to get you. But if you don't have that you don't have that bacteria in your gums and it doesn't go down in your body can take care of itself. It can. It's really, God made it really a good body, but the bacteria, the bacteria you have in your mouth is really necessary. It's really good for you. Just as long as it stays in your mouth, stays in your stomach and down your gut, and because that's what it does. When you eat something, the bacteria is in your stomach and your mouth and all that, and it eats it up, and that's what it does. It eats it up and it poops, just like I was talking a while back, and it produces lactic acid, and your body absorbs that acid, vitamins or whatever you want to call them, and that's what you run off of. But when you get that stuff in your mouth and it gets under your gums, and the bacteria starts eating and pooping, and you get infected, and it goes down into your body, well, that's the problem. And the bacteria does the same thing when it's in your blood system as it does in your body. It eats you up, just like it's eating food up, and it's in there eating on you, and it's eating on your heart, it's eating on your liver. Your everything, your bones. You got the reason why people have hip transplants, missing vertebrae, knee transplants, you name it, and that's what's wrong. The bacteria it's on the wrong side, and so that's why you need the clindamycin to kill that bacteria on the wrong side in your blood and all the other stuff, and make sure you can't. The reason why you get it under the gum root cleaner and keep it clean is that way you don't get it again. The reason why you have your tooth pulled out if it's infected, you don't do it unless it's infected. You do that so you won't get reinfected. And that way when you take the medicine, you're going to be good and away you go. But if you don't, you get sick again and you're back right where you started again. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my iPad out, and I'm going to get the shortcut. I finally learned how to do a little video editing. Not too good, but it works. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to set it up, and I'm going to get it all set up where you can see what it is. And I don't know what the next video is, but it's going to be similar to this. But I just want to let you know, when you're out there and you're looking down on those homeless people, and they're talking to themselves and, all the other stuff, it's not their fault. See, that might have been you homeless if only the periodontal would have worked as quick as on you as it did them. You would be homeless and they would be living a good life. But I can't say that anybody that has periodontal is living a good life, because your teeth are coming out. The dentists they're doing root canals and caps and crowns and all the other stuff. And when you have, especially on the top teeth, see, underneath your gums, that's where all the bacteria is, and they're pooping. So as you're walking around and all that poop, lactic acid, is just drenching your teeth. You just got your teeth enveloped in this lactic acid, and that's what makes your teeth rot away. And naturally, the periodontal just keeps. It's like a Duracell battery. Once it gets started, it just never stops. So once you get periodontal, if you don't take clindamycin, you die. You're going to get sick. You're going to get cancer. You got all kinds of problems you're going to have. So you got to get rid of that clindamycin. Periodontal. And the other cure your periodontal before it kills you. I already put a whole lot in there, but I just wanted to touch on periodontal disease and people going crazy and doing all kinds of weird stuff, acting crazy, killing people, shooting people up, you name it. That's what's, it's not there, and these people are beautiful people. Say, wow, look at that guy, look what he did. But it wasn't him. It was the dentist that made him do that. They didn't cure didn't cure him. And so therefore the bacteria is in his brain, and he has no control at all. So I'm going to put this on YouTube, and you can see for yourself. And I'm telling you, bacteria, it's alive. It gets in your body, it gets alive. And if you don't kill that bacteria in your body, it's never going to stop eating you. And what it does, it keeps eating on you until it kills you. And then if you're cremated, well, it's all burned up then. But if you go into the grave, all that bacteria is in there, and it eats you up until you're dust. That's what turns you over to the other stuff. And that's another thing. See, the reason why. See, I got to tell you, See, they invented clindamycin in the 1960s, and so before that, the dentists and doctors they couldn't cure periodontal disease. So back then, from 60s on back, that's what all they could do is give you a like root canals, and so your teeth are dissolving and stuff. They go in there and give you root canals, and they would put your bridges and crowns and all the other stuff. They never did clean under your gums though, very little. But anyway, so back then they couldn't do anything about it. So they just can't work on you and cost you a lot of money and all the other stuff. But another thing, once you get periodontal, if you don't, it's just not going to stop. You got to use clindamycin. It's just never going to stop. But but from 1960s on, if the dentist would have, like polio, everybody was getting crippled, and polio is really devastating a whole lot of people. And so they finally found the polio vaccine. And so when they found the polio vaccine, they gave it to everybody, and everybody stopped. Well, 99% of the people stopped getting polio, and man, oh man, what a miracle! And that's what happened with the gum disease and clindamycin. See, before they had clindamycin, they couldn't do anything about it. And so they were good guys, and they were working and doing their stuff, and trying to at least have your teeth until you died. And but from 60s on, it doesn't have to happen anymore. All you got to do is take clindamycin, deep root cleaning, clindamycin, pulling your bad teeth out, and bingo, you're okay again. And then you use my under the gum cleaner and keep all that stuff out from your gums, and you're on your way to a long, healthy life. Instead of all these other cruddy stuff, pain and suffering, and what a miserable life. But so I'm going to shut this off, and I'm going to go ahead and edit it up as best I can, and you'll know what periodontal disease, gum disease, does to people. It makes them crazy. And see, that's something else. Once you, even these young people, a lot of people on the streets, young and all that, and see, the reason why they're on the street, because they don't make sense. See, you talk to them, and there's nothing you can do. You can't help them. Unless you had a lot of money, you could put them in a motel or a house or something, then maybe you could. But even then, they would drift off, and they would be off and gone, and all this stuff. So you just can't help them. So once they hit the street, and before they even hit the street, you just can't help them because they're crazy. So it just terrorizing. I'm so upset about this, and I know what's going on, and I know all these things and these dentists are not doing. I know what they did to me, and I know if I hadn't found out about clindamycin, I'd be dead 2 or 3 years ago. And so I'm going to tell everybody, and I'm going to try to make it where you can save yourself. And all you got to do is get my under the gum cleaner soon. Pull any bad teeth out, take clindamycin, and you're good to go. That's all it is. That's all it is, like $38. And then these dentists and doctors that's committing crimes against humanity, they put them out of business, because you won't be there needing all that stuff anymore. Because again, once you get all that stuff out of your gums, and you take clindamycin, and you don't have all that bacteria in your body, and so therefore you're not going to be sick anymore, because that's where it's at. It's all under the gums. You got to get that stuff taken out, and then you're going to have a good life. And so it's really up to you. I'm telling you, it worked on me. You can see that I'm really in good shape. I can run out around the block, and as I mentioned in the other, I go dancing, and I go square dancing, and all kinds of stuff, having a ball. So anyway, there you go. Bye-bye. Good luck to you.